My name is Tamás. I'm the founder and the CEO of KYBERX. I've been in the cybersecurity industry for 15 plus years. And today we will be talking about cyber awareness training, how to make it work for your teams, and how to actually change behaviors. We'll go as quickly as we can. We have a lot to cover, and I just want to make sure we get through everything. We give you as much value as possible and let you get back to your day. Our agenda for today is I will give you a very brief introduction into KYBERX, what we do, and then we jump into the 3 cyber habits that you can start using today with your teams. And we will close with a demo of not 1 but 2 platforms. You'll see why 2. And you will be able to ask your questions at the end before we wrap up. And hopefully you won't mind filling out a quick survey as well. And if you cannot hear me as we move, please message me in the chat. KYBERX, we are a Baltic cybersecurity consultancy based in Latvia. We help businesses build cyber smart teams and automate compliance with proven platforms and practical support. What that looks like, we have 3 service tiers. Awareness is number 1. That's our essentially first go-to service, and there we help you build awareness programs for your teams that, as I mentioned before, actually change behaviors. We can do this with just delivering the platforms. We believe in them, so even just the platforms alone can make a huge difference in how your staff views and handles cybersecurity on a day-to-day basis. We can also deliver fully managed awareness program. That includes the platform. It also includes monthly awareness packs, so like posters, infographics, things like that. And then Cyber Cafe, quarterly Q&A, sort of like a CISO type Q&A, but not necessarily acting as a CISO. And then we can also bring fun hackathon type exercises and cyber escape rooms for team building and things like that. Now, if you already have an awareness program or a client we are talking to, and that includes also a platform in most cases, we are a fond believer of replacing the platform should not be the first reaction if something isn't working or there are concerns. But the actual program should be reviewed, assessed for any gaps, and then if it is possible, it should be course corrected. How we do that is we come in and under a package or a service, if you like, called Pulse Check, we conduct anonymous interviews with your staff. We hand out some anonymous questionnaires, and we get a feel for the awareness program's effectiveness on the ground, and then deliver you an end-to-end roadmap as to how to fix the gaps that we have identified. And then we can just walk away at that point. So you can do the course correct on your own, or you can engage with us for an additional 2-3 months normally, although it's the customer's choice entirely, for us to be present and lead that course correction for the awareness program. And another package we have under awareness is culture sync. So that's valuable when you have your documentation, so like information security documentation, like policies, standards, guidelines, and so on. And you also have your way of working on the other side. And somehow the two just don't work for whatever reason. There is a clash or just something isn't sticking. So we come in, we review the policies, we again conduct some interviews, surveys, things like that. The idea is not to take out from the policies valuable guidance, but for us to help you join the policies and the other documentation with the ways of working, so it will essentially make it for your organization, and you won't just have paperwork, but actually something that's working. And that's the the whole list of what we can do under the awareness tier. We also have compliance tier, so that's where we would help you automate compliance with a couple of platforms we can do, but we have picked the ones that we believe in the most, that deliver the most value. And we can also help you identify controls and help you implement them. Again, it's absolutely the customer's choice as to where we stop. Framework alignments, like you can have multiple frameworks you are working towards, and somehow we already have controls for whatever purposes, and you just need to align those controls to new frameworks and then sort of join the existing audit activities and so on. Or we do fully managed ISMS, where we also help you draft your policies or fix them if something is not quite right, and then deliver any compliance requirements you have. And then the third tier advantage, you combine the two, awareness and compliance, and then you put cybersecurity management outsourcing on top. So essentially a vCISO service. Contacts are on the screen. I will move on because most of you would have already been in touch with us one way or another. That's how you are also here. And let's start talking about the 3 cyber habits. Habit number 1. And you are free to take screenshots. We want to give you again as much value as possible, but if you want already, feel free to take some screenshots, and then I will just give you a pause for that. No pun intended, because habit number 1 is pause, check, verify. What that means is you would have seen this one way or another if you have been in and around cybersecurity and awareness programs. What we are aiming here is to give the end users a moment of pause, a break, so they don't take action out of emotions or urgency, so for the wrong reasons, but from the place of careful consideration. So pausing is very important. Whether you are in a phone call or it's an email or it's a text message, there is a possibility to just pause. And then once you have done that, now you can bring up your mental checklist as to what you would be looking for. Was I expecting this phone call, this email, this message, especially if it has an attachment? We will go more in depth as to what you can check on the next slides, but just on a high level. So were you expecting this? Especially if there is an attachment, you need to ask this question. In most cases, this is already enough to actually catch something that's not quite right, doesn't belong there, and you shouldn't be engaging with. Domains, so the sender email, not just checking the display name, but also the underlying domain. Hovering over links. Now, this is quite challenging on mobile phones, if in some cases not impossible. So it's also a good idea. If you want to verify links, don't do it on your mobile phone. Even if you are a cybersecurity professional, someone can, just a very trivial example, but someone can just knock your shoulder accidentally, and there you go, you clicked, and you didn't have to. So it's important to take time and be careful as to where and how you execute these checks. And then overall tone. So sometimes it's too casual or it's too professional, and it just doesn't match what you normally would expect from that source. Cyber criminals will do whatever it takes to get to their end goal. And that often also includes family members. So imagine if you have kids or just any family member, if you get an email about some emergency in schools, kindergartens, workplaces, you automatically would want to click. You want to check. You want to make sure that they are okay. And criminals know this. So establishing alternative channels to verify if the messaging you are receiving, if the phone call you're receiving is right, If it's telling you the truth, it's very important, and you need to be prepared for pretty much anything. And again, they will stop at no lengths as to what they will do to get to their desired outcome. So verification is important. Asking someone nearby you if you trust them, and if you receive the phone call, try to use a chat service or, well, even email. Ideally not SMS in case of a phone call, because chances are the criminals already have access to that numbers in incoming and outgoing communications. And if it's via email, then again you can give them a call. You can send a Slack message if you're using Slack or other messaging platforms. Even social media is good. So yeah, just be ready with a list of ways how you would verify various things, and talk about this with your family, with your coworkers, any official institutions you are engaged with. Now we have a bonus technique here. It's about something I mentioned earlier, about the difficulties how you can or cannot verify links on a mobile phone. That could be a reason why you already started clicking, but you haven't released yet, or you just really got this last split second gut feeling, I really shouldn't have clicked this. And hopefully you haven't released yet. Now, technical people will be aware of this. Not all of them, but most of them would be. But non-technical people often don't know about this. If you haven't released the click yet, you can just drag your cursor. In case of a mobile phone, it's right at the edge of the screen. But on a desktop or laptop, you can just drag the cursor to a neutral area where the link no longer exists and release the click there, and nothing will happen. So we love this technique or habit or tip or trick, because it really can mean the difference between a very serious breach versus nothing, and you walking away dodging a serious situation. So again, that's called direct to nowhere within our circles, and I know the name is kind of out there, and that's actually on purpose. We like to come up with, not forcing it, but coming up with fun, engaging ways how to make it easier for the end users to remember certain things. So direct to nowhere is named in a weird or out there kind of way, just to kind of shock the system, if you like, and also make it a little bit more fun and engaging. We are trying to reduce friction here. And it's very important for you to realize, if you are in charge of building any user awareness program, you need to try to always meet the users where they are, not where you think they are. And that's often very difficult to know the difference between the two, but it's crucial for the success. And whilst, yes, some of the named versions of our habits may not work in every organization, but you never know, because everyone knows how to laugh at least a little bit, or be somewhat shocked by calling something differently than most everyone else does. And that can make the difference between them forgetting in a day or two about what you told them versus remembering. So again, direct to nowhere, it's when you started clicking, you haven't released yet, and you're dragging your cursor in a neutral area or to the edge of the mobile screen if you are on mobile. And again, we're trying to help people to slow down and give them a moment so they can respond not from a place of urgency or emotions, but from a place of careful consideration. And you have to practice this as well. So it's not just something you will deliver as a message or a training. So that's why we also often use these flashcard kind of representations of these habits. So people can print them, put it on their background on their laptops if they want to, print them and attach it on their desk, or even have it as a very miniature version, put it in their wallet. and then it acts as a frequent reminder. That's not all it takes to practice things, but it's a good start. And then you also can run even tabletop exercises or again hackathons with your users. If you order some pizza, no one will have a problem with it. Participating, and you can together build stronger cyber habits to make it fun. So habit number 2, and this is called sender, subject, link, and tone. It's been inspired by a children's song. I'm sure if you have kids in your family, you would have heard one version or another of this. There is a Latvian one as well. I don't know about Lithuanian. I think that's where our audiences today are from. I won't sing because you really don't want me to sing, and I know that. But again, we are trying to name this so and link it to something, so at least it gives a shock factor to the end users, make it a little bit fun. People with children in the family, especially in the direct family, will appreciate the idea. Maybe they will even try to teach it to their older children. And when you start teaching it to others, or at least you explain or tell others about something you learn, your knowledge becomes greater, and you helping others to also become more cyber resilient. So that's the other sort of idea behind this kind of naming. And I gave you a high level of this already on the previous screen, but there are 5 things I would say in most cases you need to check. We bundle them into 4 areas. So the sender, or the person who is calling you or texting you, that's number 1 to check. Now with text messages, it's already a little bit harder, but it's still doable. And with emails, for sure, and social media messages, for sure, you can do a lot of things to check if the sender is really who they say they are. I won't go into all the details. Again, I won't read everything, take screenshots, but we will share the presentation slides. But let's talk about if it's a phone call. What can you do if it's a phone call? So you cannot check domain names in phone calls, but what you can do, and this you can do at home or you can do it at work. Ideally, you should do it everywhere. And you can come up with phrases or words, sort of word of the week. Yes, you need to change this regularly. If you don't want to change it weekly, then make it word of the month. And if you have no way to verify that person is really who they say they are, you can use this word of the month or word of the week. Essentially, you ask them what that is. And if they don't know, and if you do change this regularly and you put in some effort to make it not guessable. Just give you an idea, if you work in a bank, you shouldn't make the word bank related. You can come up with a word like unicorn. Absolutely out there, nothing to do with a bank. So yes, that's an example, a very rudimentary example, but you get the point. And if you do change this regularly, the criminals will have a very hard time unless they have an insider partner, in which case it's a different story altogether. They will be struggling to know that word. And that can mean the difference between someone like an accounts and payable transferring large sums to unintended destinations or not. So I encourage you to look into that. And this is especially relevant with all the AI advancements, which are good for the world, but you can argue in many ways, but let's say they are good for civilization and the world. But criminals always find a way to repurpose originally positive things and turn them into something negative. So word of the week is an idea. If we are just very briefly move on to like anything public facing communication, like press releases, social media posts, things like that, you can also use a similar idea there. So it can protect you. The other way to protect yourself in social media for sure is to be active. And most cybersecurity professionals, I think, will try to tell you the less is better. Well, if I am active on a social media platform and my readers and audience know where and what kind of content I put out there, it's hard for fake accounts to truly cause real damage. Now, they will cause in cases damage, but you can minimize it by being active. But let's say that's my personal take, if you like. You also need to check things like subject lines. And there you already start looking at the tone that I mentioned earlier. Is there any urgency, any emotions being triggered by the subject line, things like that. It depends what kind of clients you are using, but often next to the subject line is you have one more thing, which is an attachment. So you also should check the attachment, and for both you must ask, was I expecting this? And you will really protect yourself already with just that one question from many malicious acts. And then the link, so that's embedded, of course, in the actual message body. So you need to try to hover over. Remember, it's easier to do on computers. So I encourage you, that's where you check. And this is not necessarily going to save you from all the possible instances. And this is not advertisement, but most of the malware is written for Windows, Microsoft products. And it might be a good idea to have a device, even if it's Microsoft, but you could have a device that's sort of Apple iOS based or Linux, and then that device is used to check untrusted communications. And then what you do, once you check something, you always need to have a backup of that and just re-image it completely. Yeah, it might be a little bit too much, but it's something you can do. And then you can keep other more critical systems safe, where you perhaps handle banking or other things. There are examples listed there, but yeah, too professional, too casual, too much emotions, urgency is often a good thing to look out for. And with these 4 areas, what you can help the users have or put in place is some form of a checklist. So this becomes a checklist. And then if you are using it as part of a team and also in your family or families, then you can grow this beyond just protecting yourself, but it becomes a repeatable reflex. So that's what we are trying to do here. Again, the flashcard, if you want, once again, people print it, put it on their desks or in their pockets, and then they can keep reminding themselves of this habit. Habit number 3, don't just delete report. And by that we mean everywhere. So at workplaces, it's very common to have all the various capabilities in place for identifying and reporting malicious activities. Really, in most cases, if nothing else, is just IT wearing another hat, and then they would be the ones who everyone knows to go to if they notice something suspicious. But in personal life, this is still not happening often enough, that people not just delete scam emails or messages or block those email addresses or users, but also that they would report to the platform owners or platform providers as such. So whether that is Microsoft Outlook or Inbox, LV, or Gmail, or social media platforms, things like that, they all have a capability for you to not only just delete messages, but also report. And I encourage you to not only do that, but also to advise others in your circles, at your workplace, in your families, to do the same. It really helps. And sometimes, well, especially if unfortunately it is too late in some cases, it really helps also to report it to the local CERT organizations in your countries, ISPs, and the police, of course. So they would be able to help more. And then in the family, one tip is, of course, to start conversations. Yeah, don't have an emergency button, I guess, in a family, and no emergency ticketing systems and things like that. But what you would want to put in place is a chat group, maybe with your family members, where everyone can send screenshots, and it's very important that they are screenshots and not original emails, so that other members of the family are protected from accidental clicks on something they shouldn't click. But yeah, if you have this chat set up for these purposes, everyone can take screenshots of something they think is not right, and then they can put it in there and ask the family's collective experience, is this right? And that can help protect children, parents, spouses, and so on, and yourself too. So this is very important. There are many other habits we could talk about, but we cannot talk about everything in one webinar. So let's quickly go into what a modern awareness platform should look like. Now, this is mentioning a new regulation or a recently updated version of a regulation in Latvia, but you would have a similar one in Lithuania as well. To give you the highlights, it's talking about the initial awareness training and also professional training for people to do their jobs. So that's related to professional skills rather than necessarily cybersecurity awareness. So that you do at hiring. So there is an initial training, and then on a day-to-day there should be regular and emergency briefings, and then annually the training should be reviewed and updated. Now, they are being very accommodating, to put it that way. Of course, they encourage the training to be reviewed and updated as frequently as it makes sense. But certainly with the frequency of the training, if you train once a year, you will have less good results than if you did that regularly, at least quarterly or monthly, or if you can do something weekly, that's really awesome. Now, what modern cyber awareness platforms compared to legacy ones, if you want to call it that, should have is that it should be tailored. Training should be tailored to the individual, and that means that the platform should learn about the individual and constantly update its knowledge of the individual. So the platform knows what training the individual needs, and then also the training platform can reinforce previously learned skills or introduce the next most important ones. So that's crucial. Micro-learning, we believe in that. So instead of trying to deliver everything all in a single session, and even if you then give out posters, monthly posters, yeah, those monthly posters could make already a huge difference. That's what micro-learning is about, that there are really bite-sized nuggets that are delivered to the user so they can constantly improve their skills, and not all at once they have to learn all those new things. And imagine if it's not a technical user, they will struggle. Dynamic content, so if the content remains static, as in it is created once and then it is aging instead of keeping up with what's happening out there, that is a big risk. So yeah, if we want to call it modern awareness platforms should have dynamic content, no questions about it. And then the platform is aware this is about the local context and the actual business context. There are different ways how platforms can achieve this. I'll show you just very quickly in a second 2 ways. But yeah, so if you're sending out, for example, phishing test emails that are related to a service that's not even relevant in the country or the region, yeah, there will be some learning, but the users will struggle to retain the knowledge because, and there is a bonus one here for you, it's not starting with why. And yeah, it's a very famous phrase ever since Simon Sinek wrote that book, but with user awareness training, you really have to start with why. in fact, with most everything in life. And what that means is you need to try to meet the users where they are, not where you think they are. And if you start with why, what that looks like in a business is, yes, they care about their jobs. But still, if you are training them on the workplace kind of cybersecurity, what happens is when they finish work, they log off, shut down the computer, and in most cases, they walk out the door, leaving the cybersecurity awareness training behind. If you flip this and you start teaching your end users as part of your business's user awareness program about how they can protect their own homes, their own accounts, their own finances, their families, what will happen is they will become instantly more interested, because this is now real, about something they care. Maybe they don't care that much about themselves because they think they are 100% secure, which is not a thing, but they think that. But certainly they would want to protect their parents, spouses, children, homes, things like that. So this is a really good way for you to build successful awareness program if you teach them actually about something that's in their personal life, not work. Because in this case, they will bring the good cyber habits that they're constantly building at home, and they will bring it to work. The next steps, just before I very quickly show you how those platforms achieve the context understanding and give you just a couple of examples of how they differ. Yes, please take all the materials we will give you, which I will also put in the chat quickly with your bonus resource. So it should be coming up in the chat. But yeah, use that to start conversations at your workplace. And I will open it for you so you know that it is safe to open it. It's the same document here. Essentially, we do the same thing here. We start with the understanding, with the why, and with the personal hygiene, and then we move on to the home, and then workplace culture related checklist kind of questions come last. Again, we recommend that you use this as a conversation starter even at home. For the Latvian audience, we have a Latvian version on page 2. And then if you do that, I would also encourage you that you book a free consultation with us. It is truly a free consultation. We will have very minimum time as to show you something of a platform that we use. I'll do that very quickly in like 2-3 minutes. But yeah, the idea here is that we want to give as much value as possible and want to be useful. So if you book this consultation, there is a story to put this in perspective about a child, a young boy who is trying to get to the destination, finding it difficult, and he's got a horse with him, and he tells the horse, I don't know how I'm going to get there, it's too hard. And then the horse asks, can you see the next step? And the boy replies, yes. So the horse tells the boy, just take that one next step. That's the idea behind this consultation. We will listen to the challenge you are experiencing. We will give you the answer as we assess is the next best thing for you to do. And then you can take it and implement it yourself, or you can invite us to help you. Either way, we just want to really give you the opportunity to be able to reach out to somebody and ask for help if you need it. Hi there. So as we were talking about how modern cyber awareness platforms change behavior, and we went through the list of 8 needing to be tailored to the individual. The platform must be aware of the context of where the organization is and what the organization does and how it works. And also the importance of micro-learning and the dynamic content creation so it can keep up to date with all the changes that are happening. I was going to show you a demo, but I see that there was some sort of a technical error. Apologies for that. So now we will take a look at the actual platforms that I was showing you earlier, although you didn't see it. So once again, apologies. So there are 2 platforms. Let's start with Nimble. Nimbler is a text-based platform, whilst USecure is a video-based platform in terms of the training content, of course. How both of them become aware and gets tailored to the individual is through the following. So in case of Nimbler, you have a settings for each group is essentially the organization or maybe even locations or departments within the organization. And then once you have configured them, you can put in the details, what sort of business it is, what the website is, and so on and so on, what the language they are using there. And of course, you can put in the type of business, but most importantly is you can identify the technologies that are in use within the organization. This is all tick box based, and you just go through and tell the system what is in use, what the domains are, and so on and so on. So this is very powerful when the platform is choosing and preparing and scheduling the content for your users. You can then also tell the system what are your main concerns as to Wi-Fi related attacks, physical security, ransomware, things like that. And then it will automatically put the training schedule together and you can start inviting users to that. What happens when you invite the users is that they get a link in their inbox with each training at the frequency that you choose. Then why that is very important is that you can see all the recent trainings that they created. And so they can move very fast with any new emerging threats out there. To give you an example of that, here is the ClickFix scam, fairly recent, and they had a training out there. This is a random name, it doesn't know it's me, it's a demo platform. But yes, so essentially you go through the training if you are the user, and then it explains how the attack works. So this they specifically call 0-day training. This is where they respond to 0-day or emerging threats out there. And it takes you through the training and makes the users aware. So there you go. Something like this happens within your organization, and how will you deal with it? Now with something like Nimbler, you could have a way forward. And the other training is delivered just like that. So we'll give you one example here, just randomly. This is more of explaining how things work. So making people more aware how links and domains and website links are formed, and then the user is more able to respond to any attacks that they may encounter. The platform is available in many languages. So Latvian is there, Lithuanian is there, Estonian too, as well as English. And then just one example of their simulated attacks. I randomly picked this one, so we can take a look at one of these. Here we go. So again, I think this is Danish, I would imagine. Anyway, so here's a Spotify-related phishing test. Just wanted for you to see. Now, what USecure does, on the other hand, is when the user is enrolled, USecure takes the user through a quick questionnaire, 36 questions. I randomly answered them. When we get to the end, it gives us this spider web, and it tells us that the user scored very low in working remotely, for example, in phishing. The platform will automatically schedule the training relevant to those areas where the user scored the least as the first set of trainings to be delivered, and then slowly introduces the ones that still require attention. So social engineering would be the last one by the looks of it, with me picking random answers. So this way, the platform is now aware of the user's understanding. Now, both platforms continue to learn with the user and from their behavior as they complete training. I picked the Latvian. Nimbler is available in Latvian, Lithuanian, Estonian, and English, and many others. USecure at the moment is available in Latvian from the Baltic languages, and Lithuanian and Estonian are both pending for feature request with the vendor. And to give you one example of a Tele2 related phishing test, I will translate this to English because not everyone is from. I think I need to pick an English one. I just want everyone to be able to read what's there. Okay, these will be different ones, but let's say we open an Amazon related one. And this is how it looks like. It then gives us a link. You can probably read on the bottom of my screen as I hovered over. It's a weird domain with a very weird link altogether. So, and this is an example. Now, again, there are more localized and contextualized ones in Latvian, and Lithuanian ones and Estonian ones are coming. And the other thing that this platform does is something called KYBERX, where you can monitor for leaked credentials on the dark web. So that's also pretty good. Just to show you quickly the courses, if we pick something, let's say in English. So you see all sorts of training is available, bullying in the workplace, anti-bribery, GDPR related one I saw earlier, but an actual user awareness related training example I will show you. It gives you the information about what is coming in this module, and then the video training will be showing us. I won't play it because then it will distort the sound, but yeah, so it takes the user through a story, and then at the end there will be a summary of the explanations. So this is one type of video. The other type of video would be something like, I will show that to you in Latvian. Yeah. And the other type of video that's available is more like, if you like, a talking head type. So here you have a talking head type of video that explains the learnings to the user, and at the very end there is a summary. And again, I just wanted to show you the two platforms. If your team is more interested in sort of video kind of material, I would suggest USecure is more likely to succeed. But the power really in Nimbler is that, as you could see, it really is an interactive platform, but the user is not just watching something and then maybe answering a few test questions, but the user then also need to interact with the training and then actually be present and click. So the difference is, of course, here is this is also giving you some interactive options, and then there are also some test questions you get to answer with USecure. So both are great. I just wanted to show you again. Apologies for during the webinar. For some reason, the screen not sharing by the looks of it, and I hope it's been useful to you. And once again, thank you for attending. And I just hope that we could be helpful. And please reach out, schedule a meeting with us. We wish to be useful within the region, and we're happy to help you if you need any advice. Thank you. See you again soon. Bye bye.